Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So I love the Planners Anonymous Booklovers kit so much, I just had to do another project with it. So today I'm going to be making a bookmark. So if you want to see how I make this one, then just keep watching. Okay, so I'm going to start off with this piece of paper, but I actually already have one that's sort of the right size. So I'm going to start with this piece of paper, which has already been used a little bit. So what I'm going to do is fold this in half. That's what I'm going to start with, and that's going to give us the basis of our actual bookmark. So I'm going to just measure how big this is. So it's 15.2, which means it needs to be 7.6. Yeah, my maths is good. Who would have thunked it? So I'm just going to grab a pencil and just mark out that 7.6. I don't care if I'm not 100% perfect with this because I can always trim off the excess, but I want to be at least close. So I'm just grabbing in my protector mat. I'm going to grab my scoring tool. So this is just the Fiskars dual-ended one, and I'm just using the very small end, and then what I'm going to do is line this up as best I can, sort of along a line, and that way I've got the right line going along there. I love this paper so much, I hate the thought of wasting anything, so I'm being super careful. Okay, like I said, if I mess it up a little, like if my fold's not quite perfect, that's okay. As long as it's at least the right line. Looks to be. So I'm going to fold that over. Yeah, I'm a little off, but that's alright. So I'm just going to fold that down. I'm just going to use my bone folder so that it gets a really nice score. I'm going to stick this down eventually, so it's going to be, it'll look flat, but this way I don't have to cut it. What I am going to have to do though is trim off that little bit of excess. So I'm going to go ahead and do that before I stick it together. Some left over from last time. So I'm just making sure that's in the right spot. Go. And there we've got our perfect little bit to start with. It is a little not quite perfect, but so this is where I get really frustrated. I'm just going to just trim off. Now it's perfect. I know. So that's the basis of our bookmark. Well, there we go. I could just finish it right there and that would be enough, but I'm not going to. So I'm actually then going to stick this down. I did think about leaving this so maybe it opened up, or cutting the book so that it opened. I just don't think I'm going to do that this time. So I'm going to stick this together. So I'm just using glue. You also don't have to make it quite this big. If you tend to read smaller books, you can obviously make this a little bit less high. But what I do like to do when I'm reading, and I have been reading rather a lot lately, is sometimes I write myself little notes, and it could be a quote, it could be something in the book that I like. So I always keep a piece of paper around. But the downside is I often lose my little notes because they actually fall out of my they fall out while I'm doing stuff. So what I want to do is put a little pocket on here so that I can slide my little notes in so they don't go anywhere. So I'm going to use this really gorgeous bit of succulent. I'm just going to fussy cut around the outside of it. So I'm just going to grab my scissors and I'm just going to fussy cut all around the outside of this succulent at the bottom. The reason I'm using this one is because it kind of looks like it's in the corner anyway, and then when I stick it on and cut off the extra bit, it'll actually look right. So I'm just cutting just on the inside of the line, just trying to avoid any of the white. So that's going to stick on there just like that, and then I'm going to trim off the excess, and that way I've got my little pocket on the back. That's actually looking really tall, and I didn't expect it to be quite so big. I may trim that. I may make it a shape. We'll work that out in a second. Oh, I just got an idea. We'll think about it. So I'm going to stick this down. I'm going to use my normal glue tape, but I'm just going to grab a bit of scrap just so I've got something to stick onto, because I don't want this whole sort of bit, if that makes sense. I only want about half the tape. So I'm just putting in as much as I think I need. Actually, before I do this, I'm going to put that there very gently. Probably should have marked where I needed to go to. Then we'll cut off the excess and I'll rescue that last little bit. I'll show you how after. Just trying to work out which way I want the bookmark to sit. I want that to be the front, so I want this to be the back. No, I don't. So I don't want it to sit over that burgundy book. So just sticking that down. Just realised I've forgotten to do this side, but that's okay. This glue tape's got a little bit of forgiveness to it, which is nice. Then you just have to cut off the excess. So you can do that either with your scissors or your paper trimmer. It doesn't really matter. And there we have our little pocket. So just to show you sort of what that then, so it's just sort of something will stick in there like that. Alright, so that's the first part. I am also kind of contemplating having just a bit of acetate. Actually, yes I am, I'm going to do that. Because I just want something cool hanging out of there, I'm actually just going to trim off a little bit of the acetate. And just squaring it up. Because at the moment it's got my awful cutting from when I used a bit last time. I'm just going to stick that in behind it. I'm not going to stick it down, I'm just going to put it in the pocket. I just love that acetate, especially up against... Do you know what I'm with? Oh, I wonder. Oh, I wonder. It doesn't quite fit, as in the bit of acetate, like the acetate's just sort of cut off there. I wonder. Do I dare do it? So what I'm thinking is I want to trim this there and there so that it actually sits over the top of that, and that way when you move the bookmark it's actually going to get that little bit of reflectiveness from the book. But the scary part of that is I'm then wasting a little bit of the acetate. Alright, so I'm just going to line that up. Just grab some washi off and I've just de-stuck that on the back of my hand just so that it sits a bit nicer. I'm just going to put that bit there. So the de-sticking is just so that it doesn't pull up any of the paper if I do, or when I do take it up. And then what I'm going to do, because that's stuck, I'm just going to trim the edge off with scissors. Yeah, this may or may not work. I haven't worked it out yet. The reason I say this is because the acetate moves a little bit when you're doing it, so it might be easy for the next bit. I'm just going to grab this whiteboard pen and just gently mark sort of where I want to go. I'm going to do it with the trimmer. So I'm just going to line up those two lines. I feel like I'm being very adventurous right now. I'm just going to cut. And hopefully when I put that back there, it'll be in the right spot. So I'm going to put this little bit of the acetate actually is going to stick in the pocket. That's how it's sort of going to stay down. Come on, little pocket. Considering putting some washi to actually hold it down. Dog hair. Always got dog hair. Just going to see how that sort of sits once I've taken all, yeah. It's going to move around a little bit. Not a lot though. I really like that. I like the way that sort of sits and gives it that other dimension. But then I'm trying to work out how I get that to sort of stay without sort of worrying too much about it. It wobbles a little, but it doesn't wobble a lot. So I'm going to leave it for now. And I might come back to it later if I decide to. So the last little bit I do want to do is I want to do... You know how with bookmarks sometimes they have they have like a tassel or something? When I saw this bit of paper, where did it go? That was immediately what I thought of when I saw any of these little hanging bits, was that it looked like the little tassel bit off a bookmark. So that's exactly, pardon me, what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this into a bit of a tassel. So I'm just going to cut this one out. I'm going to cut it out sort of messy first, and then I'll go in and fussy cut it in a sec. I'm going to cut the string off because I'm not going to use it. So I'm going to cut that straight off. And I'm going to cut all around the outside of this. I'm going to leave a teeny weeny little kind of outline on it. So there is a little bit of the outline around it. So there's my little succulent. And I'm just going to I'm just going to push a hole in this. So I'm just going to grab my tab punch board just to use the hole. Actually, no, I'm not. Wrong board. has just got a nice easy way to put the hole in, so that's all I'm looking for. Hole punch is going to be too big for this, which is why I'm using this instead. I'm just scratching off the excess paper on the back so that it sits a bit flatter. Now the only thing I'm thinking here is if I should laminate this, because I'm a little worried about the string and that very small little bauble. I'm going to go no for now, because I can always take that little bauble off and put a hole in it if I want to later. So I'm going to use this string. This is just from Kmart. I really like the kind of rustic feel of it. So I'm just cutting off, it's about 30 centimeters, just a little bit longer than that. Tied up there, and I think try and decide if I want to cut this and have it as a circle or something else, because that just looks a bit plain. I'm going to put a stamp on it afterwards. Actually, I'm going to do the stamp now before I change my mind. Actually, I'm going to put a sticker on instead. So in the sticker kit, this is the extra sticker kit, there are a bunch of quotes. I think what I'm going to do is put this one that says books are the keys to other worlds and put it sort of just there. So it kind of looks like it's in the book. So I'm really not happy with how tall that is, but if I cut it off, I might cut it so it just sits just above where that acetate is. Oh, I'm scared now. Very, very scared. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I need to get it to sit still for a second, because I'm going to cut through the acetate. And then I've thought of a way to get it to sit so it doesn't move. I'm just going to put that there. I want that to stick this time. It's not going to do any damage to the cardboard because I'll pull it off really easy. But I need that to stick solid this time. That's why I didn't detack it before I did that. So I'm just leaving a little bit of room. And then I'm going to grab this washi tape with the bookshelf. And if I put that just, oh, it's going to be too tall. All right, we're going to use the glasses. I'm going to stick the glasses down over the top, and that's going to hold the acetate and give it a bit of something something at the top. Oops. Helps if you get it on the page. So I'm just making sure it sits right at the top. And then on the other side, I'm going to put that other washi with the bookshelf. I was really worried that that washi would ruin it, but it does look really cool. Okay, so I'm just going to take that bit of washi off gently. So to attach the little hangy bit, I love that it's got the leaves on the back. That just looks super cute. I'm just going to grab my hole punch. I'm just going to put it off to the side so that way it doesn't kind of detract. Not detract, that's not the right word, but it doesn't get in the way. Actually, I'm going to put it right there on the, it's actually going to go like right in one of the little frames. That actually looks super cute. I didn't even realise that was going to do that, but it looks awesome. And then to tie that on, I'm just going to grab sort of where I want it to sit. Don't want it to be quite so long. I always over exaggerate with my strings because it's better to, or easier to cut off than add more. I'm just going to go through there. Again, being really gentle so that I don't break that, and then pull. Because we've used the washi too, it's going to give that little bit of extra strength. I'm just going to cut off the excess, and that is my little, and the other cool thing is that actually sits in there, so if I don't want it hanging out, it's going to sit in a little pocket. But otherwise, it looks very cute sitting on that side. So that is my little bookmark. I'm just looking going, do I need to add anything? Do I want to add a sticker? Do I want to add, I want to add some washi at the bottom. I just think it will look better with an extra bit at the bottom. And there we have it. There's my little Booklover bookmark. It'll look very cute in whichever book I happen to be reading this month. I am doing really well with my book challenge, just FYI. But that is it. probably took me a lot longer than it should have, but I was kind of muddling my way through it, trying to work out what I wanted to do. I think that's the fun part with these kits. Sometimes you've given so much. I definitely can't ever use all of it just for a planner week. So I love getting it out, putting it all in front of me and just going, okay, let's make something and let's see what we can do. And that's something that I'm going to try and do a little bit more often now, especially now since I'm part of the Planners Anon Stylist team. I'm going to try and do some extra projects every month so that you guys can get to see just how much you can make out of just this one kit. But I hope you do like this little bookmark. It's pretty simple, but it looks pretty cute. Let me know what you think down below, or you can find it on any of my social medias. In case you didn't know, this is also going to go up over on my blog, so if you want to go and check that out, I will link it down below. You can always find me on my social medias as well. Hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!